Welcome to the J Sip and Say. Jill, how you doing this evening?
I'm great.
What are you smiling so much about? You give me a hard time already?
Because I told you to spice up the intro,
Yeah, well, it's my go-to.
and you did not,
It's my go-to.
but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah. It's too late now. I'm not re-recording it. So, a couple weeks ago, you had a very big moment. No more student loan debt for Jill Sewell.
Bye-bye, Sally Mae.
How'd that feel to get that last payment in there and when that went through and then you had a zero bounce?
It felt amazing.
Big weight lifted off your shoulders.
Get her out of my life.
Yeah, I wonder why they changed the name. It was easier to be angry at it when it was Sally Mae. It was like a person you could get mad at.
Yeah, and we could curse her name.
Now it's Navient or something like that.
I don't know.
Something like that. I'm
Pain in my rear end is what it is.
Hey, that pain's still in mine, but that's the decision we made. I'm surprised you didn't wait until one of these politicians erased all the student debt, like they're saying.
Seriously.
I'm just saying, it's the word going around.
Why are you smiling when you talk about it?
Because I know it aggravates you, the whole thing. Me too. I'm giving you a hard time. But no, I think student loans, they get a very bad rap. And I think part of that is justified. But I think a lot of student loans is a necessary evil. I would not have got the education I got without taking student loans out. Just the way it is.
Well, let's start off by saying the cost of college has gotten outrageous.
I don't think student loans are as the issue. It's the cost of higher education and what you kind of get for that higher education.
Because I'm not one to sit here and say, oh, well, you have to forgive all my student loan debt. Or, everyone should get free college. No. But there should be something done to rein the costs back in, even for your private colleges.
Yeah, it's astronomical.
I mean, it should not cost, because you spend, roughly 8 months out of school?
Yeah.
It should not cost you $35,000 for 8 months of schooling and to live in a jail cell and get your 3 square meals a day.
Jail cell is I might be glorifying the dorm rooms.
But you know what I mean though? Like, it's not why.
I don't get the extreme expense.
I mean, to get a 4-year education, you're almost, you are taking on, granted, most people aren't going to private colleges and paying every single thing out of pocket. Most people have scholarships, loans, grants, work study, that kind of stuff. But you are essentially taking on like an entire house mortgage by going to school to better yourself and to get a better job. And then when you get out of school and there are no jobs or nothing that you majored in, and
I think, yeah, I 100% agree with you. The cost of education has gotten out of control. But
it's because they can.
But I also think students, with the help of parents, mentors, whatever, need to look at, one, where they're going to go. It's not like you get to college and it's like, oh, I didn't know it was going to cost this much money.
Well, and that's the thing. Yeah, it's not like you graduate and, oh, here's $60,000 debt you got to pay back. Like, the whole time.
It's usually on one of the pamphlets that they give you what the cost of tuition is. So I think kids that are going to go to college need to be made aware of what that cost is going to be, what they're going to get for that cost, and also, look at other ways to better yourself. There's 4 years of college of, say a normal, 4-year program isn't for everyone, and you don't necessarily have to have that to be successful in the world.
Right. I agree with you. Kids need to be better educated on what they're taking on as far as tuition and student loan debt.
And I think
really break it down for them. Be like, look, if you graduate and this is how much debt you have, This is how much you're going to be paying monthly. This is how long it's going to take you to pay it off. That's probably the big thing. They don't expect to be paying on that for the next 20 years.
But I think that's I mean, when you file your loans, it breaks down. It will break down how it's going to be.
Okay, but I never saw that
over quite a few years.
I wasn't surprised, but
did you do most of your student loan applications and filling out yourself?
No.
Okay.
That was my dad's mistake.
Well,
and he's even said that. He said, I should have had you right there with me when I was filling all of this out. Yeah, granted, I signed everything, and he was my co-signer, but you're an 18-year-old kid. You don't know what you're signing.
My parents co-signed mine, but I was the one that was doing a lot of the paperwork. So it's a decision I made. I wanted to go to the University of Findlay. Obviously, number one reason was baseball. I was wanting to play college baseball. It had a very good business school. I liked the size of the town. I liked the size of the university. So it was a decision I made.
And you met your future wife and the mother of your child.
This isn't about you. It was a decision I was willing to make, and even though I'm still paying student loans, I couldn't be happier. I had an excellent experience there. I have an excellent education, but I knew what I was getting myself into.
Well, it's the thing. Most people don't. And they don't consider other options. You know, we all have other options as far as trade school, military, community college.
State college.
No one's forcing you to go to these private four-year institutions or these public institutions.
I knew what I was going to be paying. I wanted to go there, and I have no regrets. Yes, I have student loan debt, but that's my choice. And, I kind of did the research on it and accepted it. And to me, student loans are basically you're gambling on yourself. You're going to say, I'm going to take this amount of debt on because it will help me make a higher salary down the road where I can pay this off and then have a very comfortable lifestyle. That's all it is.
And these politicians that are saying we need to forgive all student loan debt. Why?
It's ridiculous.
I mean, whatever happened to you borrow money from someone and you pay it back? So since we took on our home mortgage, should we just get that forgiven? Because, people should feel sorry for us because we have to pay so much for our house.
If it gets votes, you can say anything you want. And politicians
But they're crazy enough to do it. That's the thing.
It'd never go through. I don't think it would ever go through.
And I'm sorry. I just spent the last 9 years paying my student loans off. You should too.
Yeah.
I know that sounds bad, but
you're not forced to go to college. 2, you're not forced to go to a private institution. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of, like you said, I hate calling them alternatives. There's a lot of ways to educate yourself, better yourself without going to an expensive 4-year school.
And I talk about this all the time with people. There's so much need for skilled trades. And I don't know why it's gotten such a stigma the last 20, 30 years. It seems like everyone thinks that they're going to be a nobody if they don't go to quote unquote college.
Right.
Why? I mean, what's so wrong with going and becoming an electrician, a plumber?
Well, I think first off, it starts off in school. There's all this pressure. Oh, you got to do this on your SATs, and you got to go to here. And no, you don't. No, you don't. I don't know.
Well, and my major beef is with my former profession, school counseling. Who do you think gets the bad rap for these kids thinking that's their only way to succeed?
Schools.
School counselors. Yeah. My opinion, it's the parents. It goes back to the parents.
Yeah.
Parents seem to think that their kid's going to be some failure, bum, attached to stigma if their kid doesn't go to college. Now, I mean, if they go and become a plumber and make more money than all of us,
which is common,
with no debt, who's the success now?
Yeah, I'm not sure where that shift happened. I mean, I knew I wanted to go into business. I knew I wanted more of a white-collar job. But I also grew up doing blue-collar jobs, baling hay, working in excavation, working construction. So I knew what that life was like. I was exposed to it. I knew I wanted to do something different. I think it's why it's really important for kids to do a variety of jobs when they're younger. Hey, go work construction for a summer. Go work on a farm. Work with a trade skills guy. See what he does. See the money he makes. See the
Well,
schedule.
college isn't for everyone, and I don't know how many times I told my students that. I mean, you got to have some type of plan, but it doesn't have to be college. You have these kids that are sitting and drowning in these classrooms, and they're just itching to do something with their hands. They're not meant to sit behind a desk.
Right. No, it's not for everyone.
No, and I don't know what happened to make kids think that that's their only option.
I think it's a society thing, and I think people buy into that. I think parents think they have to. Oh, well, my kid goes to this college.
When that's the thing, it's all about status. Well, my kid goes to blah, blah, blah school and they're majoring in this. And when they graduate, they're going to have this degree.
I've pushed a button here with you on this topic here.
Because it's personal. I feel like my profession gets attacked because we're the ones drilling it into these kids. Maybe some counselors, but not me.
No, I'm sure there are a lot of counselors that do, but I'm sure there's a lot that don't. And
I get no kickback for trying to get kids into college.
And I think it goes back to not having skill trade classes in schools. I think that's where kids get exposure to carpentry or welding, small gas engines. I mean, there's so many routes, but if they're not exposed to it, they don't know the difference.
When a lot of kids, they want to learn those skills, but not necessarily go to the vocational center. They don't want to take up half their day in one of those programs, but maybe they want to learn how to do wood shop, or they want to learn how to work on cars and do that kind of stuff.
And there's ways to do that because, every factory, constructions, crews, they're all looking for help. And even if you're 16, 17 years old, if you're willing to show up and work, one, they're going to pay you. And two, if you show up, shut up, and listen, you're going to learn a lot. And you might say, oh, wow, I enjoy this. Two, I'm good at it. And three, oh, these guys are making some serious money. And that can, direct them towards, becoming an apprentice and eventually getting their, their union card if it's a union trade, which leads to a very, very good paycheck every week. And a lot of those guys end up owning their own business.
And I know you and I have talked before. I don't know if these students see college, it's so glamorized on TV and in the movies, and you hear about other college students. It's almost like that purgatory between high school and real life.
I felt it was like the most independent, stress-free, responsible-free time of my life because you're old enough to do anything. But you're really...
But it is super stressful, too.
Yeah, and there are a lot of kids that are paying their way through college, but there are a lot of kids, for me, example, I had work studying a few part-time jobs, but a lot of my college was either school or having fun.
And I think some students see it as, oh, I got to go live the glory days of college, and I got to join a frat, and I got to be at frat part. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I think kids, they just see it as their opportunity to go and goof off for 4 years.
See movies like, Animal House or Van Wilder, and it's usually not like that.
And you hear, your parents might talk about, oh, I was in this fraternity or sorority, and we did that. And it's almost like the students still want to live that life for 4 years, but they don't want to take on the financial responsibility of it. It's almost like the enticement of graduating high school and going and getting an internship or an apprenticeship. They don't want to do it. They don't want to become a full-blown adult right out of high school.
No,
even with a paycheck.
Like you said, the allure of going to college and partying, and it's pretty easy to do. I mean, we went to a small private college.
Colleges, they make it enticing. That's their job.
Yeah, if you're 18, would you rather go to a co-ed college and party or go work and have to work 50, 60 hours a week. But in 10 years, where are you going to be
I was
at?
saying 10 years when you're still paying off your student loan debt and the other guy doesn't have any and makes 60K.
And to me, there's nothing wrong with student loan debt. Yeah, like I said, it was a choice I made. I knew what I was getting myself into. I wanted to go to college there. I wanted to study business. And overall, it's worked out. I mean, I've held some jobs where I felt like the education justified it, or I was able to justify my education. Moved up in companies. That's my choice. Like I said, it's kind of like gambling on yourself. If I take this step now, will I be able to make it work in the end? But if you're going to college and studying some crazy liberal arts where there's no money in it, at some big time university, and you get out of college and there's no jobs, you should know that. There's job forecasts.
You should do a job outlook.
Right. If you're, I don't want to pick on anyone's major, but if you're
okay, well, I majored in psychology. It's a very popular major. I pretty much knew halfway through, oh, okay, I can't really do a whole lot with that once I graduate. What am I going to do? Okay, I chose to get my master's in school counseling. You have to have a master's in order to do it.
Which means more debt.
Which means more debt, of course. But that I saw the problem of my major and fixed it. Now, I could have graduated after 4 years with a major in psychology, and who knows what I would have been doing.
Where else could that led to?
I have no idea.
Like a counselor or psychologist?
I would have to keep going to school.
More school.
A 4-year bachelor's degree in psychology doesn't really get you much. Unless you want to work at like a nonprofit or something.
Which, unfortunately, doesn't pay
any money.
Well. Yeah, you got to look at your major. Like, business is a huge umbrella. You can work in manufacturing, nonprofit, IT. I mean, business is a huge umbrella. If you have a business degree or two, I think that will eventually pay off if you pursue it. Like you said, psychology is probably a lot more narrow. History.
Well, it's a broad major, but it's just not a lot of... You're going to be doing something completely not related to what you studied for 4 years.
Or business. Anything with medicine, you're going to do well.
Anything healthcare related.
Yeah, pharmacy, OT, PT, RN, anything like that, you're going to do well. It goes back, and this is something I always say, to personal accountability. Not on just the debt part of what are you going to pursue. Are you just going to college just to go to college?
I think that's what happens a lot.
Or are you going to be like, hey, I want to go study. Yeah, I wanted to go have a good time in college, of course. I wanted to play college baseball. But at the end of the day, I knew I was going to college to get a business degree, and that's what I did.
And you met me.
Still, this isn't about you. Stop making this podcast about you, Jill.
But it is about me because I paid off my student loans.
I'm still working on mine, so.
That's okay. I'm sure a lot of people are.
But, like I said, I don't get why people think they should be forgiven. I don't think college should be free. I think it should not be as expensive as it is. I think that's kind of...
it's not free.
Well, to the student.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, taxpayers would pay for it.
So back to the free college thing. I had a discussion with people who don't have the same political views as myself about free college and why they think it should be free. And one of their comments was, well, it's free K through 12. Why can't college be free? And I'm like, because they're kids? I mean, is that like...
And really, it's not free. Most people got to pay for
we have to pay for
and books,
taxes, and fees and everything else that comes with it. But you know what I mean? I was just kind of like, because they're kids? I mean, to go to college, you're an adult and you're making that choice. We force kids to go to school.
Right. And I am so sick of the excuse, well, they're just young kids that go to college. No, if you can go serve in war at 18 years old, you should be responsible enough to be able to decide your major, if you want to take on student debt, if you want to pursue like a junior college first.
Right.
And I think the military is another great option that a lot of people don't want to talk about or don't want to point their kids towards. And I understand that the risk, if you're a young man or young woman going into the military, yeah, there's a chance, especially, in the last, 19 years, you might
You're probably going to be spending some time overseas.
Yeah. That being said, it's an excellent way to, one, learn discipline, learn a lot of life skills, and they'll pay for your college.
They'll pay for you to go to school.
It's something I considered, not heavily, but I did consider it. But I don't see anything. I think it's admirable. I think it's way more respectable than what I did. Yeah, I went to college. That's great. But people that are willing to go serve, yeah, they should get their college paid for.
Right. And back to the umbrella of free college. I always just want to ask these politicians, okay, so how is this going to work? We're going to have free college. Okay. So what are you going to pay your professors? Because K through 12 teachers don't make crap.
Especially your tenured professors who've been making...
Right. So what are you going to pay them? They're not going to do it for free. And what's going to be the incentive for these students to complete their degree and graduate? Because if you make it all free, what's to stop me from just being a perpetual student forever?
Well, and then
I can live off the system. I can get free college, whatever else other welfare programs that these certain politicians would put in place. What's going to motivate me to finish it?
Well, and then I look at the problem of, okay, I can go to college for free. Why would I want to go to some quote-unquote average state school when I can apply to
right, the private
Stanford or even,
and I think what some of these they want the state schools to be free.
There's still a lot of really good state schools that are expensive.
Oh, I know. And I even had a discussion with I guess he was a student at the time, but we've talked about it since then. And I was explaining to him the whole free college thing and how if everyone had a college degree, all you're doing is marking down the value of that college degree. Because I told him, I said, so if you go into a job, you and another person apply for the job and say, you're both very qualified. You have a college degree and he doesn't for that job, for that position, for that major. 9 times out of 10, the person with the college degree is going to get it. I mean, that's just how it is. But say you and someone else show up, you both have the same degree, same qualifications, same as 10 other people that have the same you know what I mean? Like, all you're doing is devaluing a college degree. It's supposed to be a step up and something to obtain. But if everyone has one,
right,
then you're going to be like, oh, well, now you have to have a master's degree. We have to make a master's degree free.
When I was going through interviews, I felt like I had an upper hand because I had an education. I had a bachelor's degree in 2 different disciplines. I don't know if Findlay being a private college or private university really made a difference or not, but I knew I had a leg up on a lot of people because I did have that degree and I could talk to it. I had a pretty good GPA and not only just, here's another thing about college. Everyone's worried about the degree. It's what you do while you're in college.
Mm-hmm.
I was in some extracurricular activities. Obviously, I played baseball for a few years, marketing club. I did an internship at Marathon Petroleum for a semester that was, excellent real world experience. So more than just the degree, it's what you do with your time while you're in college. And you're going to see kids that slack off and get all the C's and don't do anything, and then all they have is a degree, and then kids that work hard and have a couple internships or maybe some job shadow experience, plus the high GPA and then some extracurricular activities. There's But that's just whoever works harder.
You want to hear one of my theories about why I think healthcare is so expensive?
We could do 2 hours on that.
I think one problem is because you have these doctors that come out of med school and they're like $250,000 in debt. Well, what are they going to do? Like, they want a decent salary so they can pay off this student loan debt. You know what I mean? Like, I think...
I would say it's a contributing factor.
Right. And I'm not saying... I mean, obviously, it's not the main culprit.
I mean
we could...
To me, the main culprit is
hours.
People not taking care of themselves.
Well, yeah, that too. We could spend hours talking about that. But I think... And granted, yes, you have to go to 4 years of pre-med and 4 years of medical school. And it's a lot of education and internships and fellowships. But I mean, they're literally walking out of just med school like $250,000 in debt. How are they going to pay that off if they don't make like at least 6 figures?
It's going to take a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
I just see it as like a snowball effect. You keep raising tuition and education. So then salaries become more where they can become more. You don't see them going up in education. But in the medical field, they keep going up, up, up just to cover the cost of their education. Well, what does that do? That drives up the healthcare costs.
I think it's that, and I also think it's just the amount of people needing healthcare. Intense healthcare is so much different because our lifestyle is so much more not active, I'll say, in our... I think a lot more people are needing healthcare, so there's demand.
Right.
You're going to get more doctors. Like you said, the student loan cost for them is astronomical.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, it all snowballs, and it always goes downhill to the people paying for it. And that's why, you talk about these student athletes, and it drives me nuts. These people are like, well, they should go get their degree and not go pro. I'm like, if you have a chance to go make millions of dollars after your freshman year, go make millions of dollars. Why do you go to college? What's the number one reason you go to college?
To get an education.
So you can make more money. That's all it is. That's all it is.
Okay,
you go to college.
You go
to college to get the skills to make more money when you get out of college.
Okay, but if you go pro and you get hurt your very first practice, then what are you going to do? You got to go back to college.
Well, okay. Well, those guys, I'm just saying, I would never knock someone that's like, well, I'm going to go pro because now's my chance to make some money.
You know how I feel about professional athletes, so you and I are not going to see eye to eye on this.
You can't argue the fact you go to college to make more money when you get out of college.
When you get out, once you have your education.
All your education is just skills to get you into the working world. That's all it is.
You and I are not going to see eye to eye on this.
Well, I'm saying.
You know how I feel about professional athletes.
If a kid can go to college for 2 years and get a $2.5 million signing bonus, hey, go for it.
Yeah, and he'll probably blow right through it because
maybe he won't.
They don't know what.
Here's the thing, colleges. I know people think it's so taboo. If you're going to be a college athlete, granted it's a small percentage, who's going to make it pro, they should have almost a curriculum that helps them out. What's the point of college? Educate yourself and get money. Hey, you're probably going to go pro next year and be making millions of dollars. Here's some things you might want to avoid. Here's some smart things you want to do.
I agree with that.
I mean, don't hold this education above these kids like it's something special. They're not there for education. The whole NCAA student-athlete thing's a joke anyways. It's a minor league system for most of the pro sports.
Then why don't they just let them go pro out of high school?
The NBA doesn't want 18-year-olds in the league. That's what it is. But yeah, you can go pro in a lot of other sports, like tennis, golf, at like 15 years old. Michelle Wie was 13 years old. 13, 14 years old.
Well, okay, being a professional
these
golf
are extreme,
is different.
But these are extreme examples. But what I'm saying is the reason you go to college is to make more money out of college. That's all it is.
We can argue this till we're blue in the face. I'm not going to agree with you.
Okay.
I don't get the obsession with professional athletes.
I have not saying anything about professional athletes. I'm saying if you have the opportunity to go make millions of dollars, why would you pass that up for a piece of paper?
Because you're supposed to be a student first,
Okay,
an athlete second.
I get that's what they're selling, but that's not what it is.
Then that's the college's fault.
It's
That's the attitude they've had.
it's because
People put so much more emphasis on whether or not you can throw a ball
it
than
makes
anything else.
it makes the college money, and it all goes back to money. The Ohio State football program makes more money for that university than anything else.
I realize that.
And if those kids go for 3 years and decide to go make millions of dollars, more power to them.
Do you think they should be paid?
I think that's a very slippery slope. I don't think they should actually be paid, but I don't know if there's a way, like I think it's ridiculous the university can sell their jerseys and the kids not get a cut. That's what I think. I don't think it should be, oh, you're the quarterback, you make X amount. Hey, we sold X amount of your jerseys with your name on it. I think you should get something like that. Because if you try to pay all the athletes, I mean, what are you going to pay? The softball players that, have 100 people in the stands, or the baseball team when there's 400 people in the stands, it's not making money? There's only usually two programs in most colleges that actually make money: men's basketball and men's football. I know we kind of got off on a side topic here, but I'm just saying the point of furthering yourself, bettering yourself, educating yourself is to make more money. If you have the opportunity to do that, go do it.
Can you go pro in football right out of high school?
No. It's just the physicality. 18-year-olds are not ready for the NFL. I mean, that's why they got to wait 3 years. Basketball, you got to wait 1. Baseball, you either go pro right out of high school or you got to go to college for 3 years. And then a lot of other sports, you can go, like the Olympic sports, swimming, those.
So you think they should just be able to go pro right out of high school?
High school or basketball?
Any of them.
Basketball, you used to be able to.
I'm saying, do you?
I think, yeah, absolutely. I think basketball, football, no, just because of the physicality. There's a whole different level between an 18-year-old and a 21-year-old that's been in a program for 3 years. Baseball, I like the way baseball does it. You have the choice. I want to go pro now. I'm 18. I can go sign for $2 million, or okay, I want to sign up at this university for 3 years. And I think maybe basketball should adopt that. You either go out of high school or you got to wait 2 years or 3 years. But so that's kind of a rabbit hole. That's another rabbit hole we could go down. But the point of college, trade school, whatever, is, let's be honest, make money. And to me, you got to find the way that you want to make money and figure out if you're willing to take on big debt to do that. It's pretty much what it boils down to.
It is your responsibility to pay it back.
Exactly.
I don't know. Do you think we should start a campaign to have our mortgage forgiven?
No, I'm sure other people have already tried that.
I did buy a brand new car 5 years ago. I feel like that debt should have been forgiven.
You paid it off.
Yeah, I've paid all of it off. My car and my student loans.
Nothing.
That's why people were like, why? I feel like I should have my student loans paid. Why? No.
No, it's not going to happen.
I've lived a simple lifestyle for the last 9 years to be able to pay my car off early and pay my student loans off early. You should do the same, but people don't.
I don't think student loans are ever going to be forgiven. There's so many things the government can't do now. There's no way to go through because of all the. That's the great design of our government, Constitution, all that. It's so much gridlock, so drastic changes don't happen, and we don't get away from our core values.
Well, and it's like, where would that money come from?
Well, that's not important when you're trying to get votes.
The billionaires.
That's not important when you're trying to get votes. It's easy to say things just to get support from people who are naive.
Yeah, because they want the millennial vote. Because they don't want to take responsibility.
Mm-hmm. That's You can't vote out Santa Claus.
But I'm trying to be like logical. Like, where would that money come from?
They'd have to jack up taxes.
Yeah, so we'd all be paying for everyone else's choice to go to outrageously priced colleges. I mean, so I've already paid off my student loans, so I'd have to pay
for other people's. Maybe I get some of that. maybe your contribution will go towards my student loans.
Can I request that?
Yeah, can you send it right to me? It's an interesting topic. It's so polarizing because people think, oh, it should be free, or, college, why doesn't everyone get to go to college? It shouldn't be free. It is a service. You're paying for a service. You're paying for an experience if you're going to a 4-year program. It should be modified. I think a lot of the curriculums are a little ridiculous. Some of the gen eds, I understand you're supposed to get a well-rounded education, but...
Yeah, but you do that in high school.
Yeah, and, at 19, I didn't care about philosophy, even though I had to take a philosophy class. And I haven't used anything from that class since. Now, I enjoyed my major classes, most of them, but it's a choice. It's basically gambling on yourself. Do you think you can go make more money and cover your expenses over the next 15 years or so? Well, that's up to you. It's like everything else. It goes back to personal accountability, and there's a lack of that in our society, and that's why it's such a big issue right now. And I think a lot of it goes back to parents forcing their kids to go to college, which I think is ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's not school counselors' fault.
There's so many options, so many ways to better yourself, educate yourself, get into a trade with a higher salary, go to the military. A lot of these 2-year schools, you can get all your gen eds taken care of for a significantly less price. There's a lot of ways to do it. And there's a lot of grants. There's a lot of scholarships opportunities. And if you do more of the work in high school, it's a lot easier to get more scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be that second semester of high school or your senior year of high school and be like, oh, I want to apply for some scholarships. I haven't done any curricular activities.
I need to raise my GPA.
I got a C+ average. Like, no. But, no, it's a hot button topic, but I think I don't see a lot of it changing. I don't see free college. I don't see colleges getting any cheaper. So if you got kids in high school, going to be in high school, just do your homework, do the research. What's this education going to cost? What are some other options? What does my kid want to do? Maybe my kid doesn't want to go to a 4-year school and he wants to go to trade school. Maybe he wants to join the military or she wants to join the military. Support that. I'd be more than proud if Blair said, hey, I want to go to the military in 16 years. Scary, absolutely, but who am I to tell him not to pursue a dream?
Yeah.
So, well, I'm sure a lot of our friends who have student loans can relate to this. Especially whoever went to Finland.
Our college friends know what we're talking about.
College was not cheap, and like I said, that was our choice. But
all those T-shirts they had at those on-campus events, that's where our money went.
I got every single one of them, too. Still have those shirts. All right, Jill, let's wrap this up. Like I said, it's do your homework, do the research. There's ways to get out there in the real world and make a good living and not go $100K in debt. So, Jill, cheers.
Make it a great day.